you've been following the story from Chapter 1, or you've just joined us today, I'm genuinely happy you're here. My name is Karen, and this is my ESL Listen-Along Series, where I read my own published novel of Fire and Fate, chapter by chapter, to help you grow your English through real adult storytelling. You can simply listen like an audiobook, or read along with your own copy. The book is on Amazon, and the link is in the description. Here's a quick reminder. This is an adult book for listeners 18 and over. It contains themes of domestic abuse, trauma, and other mature content with explicit sexual content in later chapters. If that's not right for you, my Dr. Dolittle series is completely family-friendly and linked below. Still with me? Good. Let's get you caught up. Seraphine has been in Wavecrest for a few weeks now, working at the cafe, keeping her head down and trying to build a life that feels small and safe. She's using the name Sarah. She's hiding in plain sight, and she's doing everything she can to stay invisible. But danger has been closing in. In Chapter 6, the tension around her finally cracked open. The fire in the cafe kitchen deliberately set. The near miss with the speeding car. The constant sense of being followed. And then Draven walked into the cafe, not as a shadow in the night, not as the stranger who pulled her out of the road, but as a customer sitting at the table, ordering crab rolls, bringing Kaeldrick, who within minutes had her laughing, a real laugh, the kind she hadn't heard from herself in a long time. The moment changed something in her, and it changed something in him. Because later that evening, when she left the supermarket after dark, and a group of drunk men cornered her, she froze, that terrible, conditioned stillness Simon trained into her. And Draven stepped out of the shadows. One quiet command. The men scattered. He walked her home. He kept his distance. He respected every boundary she set. And for the first time in months, she fell asleep without dreaming of Simon. Chapter 7 takes us somewhere new, because this time we step fully into Draven's mind. We see the dream, vivid, overwhelming, and absolutely not fade to black. We see the dragon's hunger, the king's restraint, and the man caught between them. We see the history of the promise of the flame, the visions that once guided every dragon, and how those visions have been fading for generations. And we see the fear, not Seraphine's fear, Draven's fear that the bond might fail, fear that he might lose her, fear that loving a human could doom his entire kingdom, fear that telling her the truth might shatter the fragile trust he's building, and that not telling her might feel like betrayal. This chapter is strategy, prophecy, longing, and danger woven together. And by the end of it, Draven makes a decision that will change everything. He sends Zev, his most discreet operative, to uncover who Sarah really is, and who is hunting her. Find the page if you have the book, get comfortable, and I'll see you on the other side. Chapter 7. Draven. She's there again, Sarah, as she calls herself here. I'm not sure that's her real name. There'd been a brief, telling hesitation last night, a slip in the way she'd almost said "sir," as if she were trying on a borrowed identity that didn't quite fit her fire. The lie settled in my mind like a low, nagging worry. Why hide from me? Her scent wraps around me even in sleep, like smoke, sweet honey, and the raw ozone of a brewing storm, familiar and dangerously wild. In the dream, we walked together through narrow streets, shadows curling at our feet, the air between us so charged it's static, just like the brief, perfect moment when I walked her home. But this time, when I reach for her hand, she doesn't flinch. She looks up at me as though she's always known who I am, as though she's been waiting for the fire to catch, The world blurs into a rush of light and sound. When our hands meet, the contact is electric, a thunderclap of raw power. Her pulse races beneath my fingers, a frantic, addictive rhythm, and the fire surges through my veins so fiercely my dragon roars, demanding immediate release. Claim her now! I pull her closer, every breath a desperate struggle for control. She tilts her face towards mine, her hazel eyes luminous, and for a moment the line between restraint and ruin vanishes completely. Heat floods through me, an inferno that's both hers and mine, ancient and inevitable. The knowledge of her destiny, of our mutual necessary survival, hammers in my mind. This was the answer, the culmination of generations of fading hope. I trap her against the cold wood of a door, burying my face in her hair. I need to be inside her, to mark her, to pour the protective fire into her soul, to fuse our fates together until nothing could touch her again. My hands, big, scarred, built for war, roam down her back, cupping her firm ass and pulling her tight against the hardness growing, aching in my jeans. I lift her and turn so my back shields her from the rough wood of the door. I start to rock, a primal rhythm, and I can hear a muffled thud each time my straining desire rubs against the soft cotton of her dress caught between us, a teasing barrier. I turn again, placing her on the windowsill, and reach up to the back of her head, feeling the silken hair falling around her shoulders, protecting it from the wooden shutters behind her, as I continue to thrust in place a silent, frantic fantasy. The dream is so real it hurts. The pounding noise breaks through the dream, shattering the perfect, necessary moments. Not her rapid heartbeats, not the heavy thump of our bodies, a real pounding. My bedroom door. "Dre, open up, we're late!" Keldrick calls, his voice annoyingly cheerful, calling me back to reality and duty. I drag myself upright in the dark, cursing softly. My pulse is still racing, my skin fever hot, and the sheets smell faintly of ozone and smoke. My dragon growls in my chest, a deep, rumbling protest against the interruption. Go to her, protect her, the hunt is over. Later, I tell him half aloud, running a shaky hand through my hair. She's running. We can't just burst into her life and demand she be queen. The dragon doesn't understand patience. Neither do I lately. By the time I meet with the council elders that morning, I'm only half present, my mind replaying the terror in her eyes and the way her small body had felt against mine the other day when I'd pulled her from the car's path. And the dream, oh, that dream is on full replay in my mind. Keldrick keeps shooting me sideways looks. He knows I'm already gone, lost in the memory of a human woman in Wavecrest. When we finally escape the endless dead talk of border patrols and trade, the constant reminder of the wolf's creeping ambition, he claps me on the shoulder. "You look like hell, Dry. Did you at least get some sleep, or were you having fantasies about boring stock reports again?" He frowned, the easy humour falling away. "Take a break, go eat something, or see someone. You're no use to us while you're like this anyway." I decide to do both, eat something and see her. The walk to the cafe takes me past the old lighthouse, abandoned for decades but still standing as a monument to human persistence. Keldrick walks beside me, uncharacteristically quiet. "You're thinking too loud," I say finally. He huffs a laugh. "Just remembering something my grandmother used to say about the promise of the flame." I glance at him. Keldrick rarely mentions his grandmother. She'd been one of the last elders who remembers the true golden age, before the visions failed. "What about it?" "She says the promise wasn't just about finding your mate. It was about the bond itself, the way dragon fire recognizes its other half and burns brighter for it. He kicks at a loose stone on the path. She described it like two flames that are barely surviving on their own, but when they come together, they create an inferno that could sustain a whole kingdom. The promise of the flame. Every dragon child learned the story almost before they learned to shift. In the beginning, when our kind first emerged from the mountain fires, we burned too hot, too wild. We consumed everything, forests, prey, and even each other, in territorial disputes. We were dying out from our own unchecked power. Then, the first true bonding happened. A dragon king found his mate, a woman whose soul somehow matched the frequency of his fire, could contain it, channel it, and transform raw destruction into sustainable warmth. Their union didn't just create heirs, it created balance. The dragon's fire, tempered by the mate's presence, became something that could nurture instead of only destroy. For generations, every dragon received a vision on their 21st birthday, a glimpse of the destined mate, enough to recognize them when fate brought them together. The promise of the flame ensured that each generation would be stronger than the last, that our fire would never fade, until it did. The last king to receive a true vision was my great-great-grandfather, I say quietly, King Aldrich. He saw his mate in perfect detail, her face, her voice, even the way she laughed, found her within a year. They had 5 children, all of whom survived to adulthood, and all were powerful shifters. The kingdom thrived. And then his son, my great-grandfather, received only fragments, pieces of a vision, never the whole. He eventually found his mate, but it took decades, and they only had 2 children. One died in infancy. History is a wound that never quite heals. Each generation since has received less, vaguer images, longer waits, weaker bonds. Until you, K. Eldrick says, just eyes, those hazel, gold eyes and nothing else. For 10 years, that's all I had. I'd started to think the promise itself was broken, that I'd be the king who finally failed completely. I stopped walking, turning to face the ocean. But she's real, KL. Those eyes belong to a real person, which means the promise isn't dead, it's just sleeping, waiting for something. Or someone, he murmurs, then more carefully, but Dre, what if the promise requires more than just finding her? What if it requires her to accept the bond willingly? The old stories always emphasized choice. The mate had to choose the dragon as much as the dragon chose them. I know where he's going with this. She's terrified of me. She's terrified of something, and until you figure out what, until you can offer her safety instead of just more danger, he trails off, the implication hanging heavy between us. The promise of the flame only works if both parties willingly bind themselves to each other. A forced bond, a coerced bond, a bond built on fear or obligation, those create nothing but ashes. Give me some time alone with her. I'll earn her trust, I say, and it sounds like both a promise and a prayer, however long it takes. The cafe is quieter in the lull between lunch and dinner. She's wiping tables, sunlight threading through her hair like copper. My dragon goes still, the massive pressure in my chest easing simply from watching her. She was a haven, a grounding point in my chaotic, collapsing world. When she notices me, her eyes widen, then soften, wary but not afraid. Back again? She asks, her voice tight but polite. I give a slow nod. Couldn't resist trying your other recommendation from yesterday. A smile flickers, still uncertain, but she motions me towards the counter instead of a corner table. When she brings coffee, I make myself speak of safe things, the weather, the movement of the sea, the strange little town. She listens, then surprises me by offering a real piece of herself. People come here to disappear, she says softly, tracing a ring of condensation on the counter. Sometimes the ocean's the only thing that doesn't judge or ask questions. I know the feeling, I confess. The truth is simple. I hide from judgment too, the crushing judgment of an entire species waiting for me to fail. She studies me for a moment longer, those hazel eyes searching. You don't look like someone who'd hide from anything. You look like you command everything. I almost laugh, if only you knew. My apparent strength was nothing compared to the fear I carried for my people. Bit by bit, the painful tension in her shoulders eases. She talks about the cafe, the regulars, and the way the sea changes colour before a storm. I don't ask what she isn't saying. I just listen. Every time she glances up, I make sure my big, dangerous hands stay still on the counter where she can see them. No sudden moves, no reaching. I am not the thing you're scared of. I will not push. My dragon stirs, restless. She's afraid. Fix it. Hold her. Not yet, I answer silently. She needs warmth, not a blazing fire. When Keeldrick finally strides in, the spell breaks with a crash. There you are, he says, his tone carefully casual but his eyes sharp. We've got that meeting with the Coastal Council representatives, discussing territory boundaries with your people. The emphasis on your people is subtle but deliberate. She blinks, confusion clouding her face. Your people? Figure of speech, Keeldrick says smoothly, but I see the calculation in his eyes. He's planting seeds, trying to force my hand without overtly blowing my cover. Dre here is very invested in this region, treats it like his personal kingdom. I shoot him a warning look that promises retribution later. He thinks he's funny, I say, standing reluctantly. Thank you for the coffee and the pancakes, Sarah. Any time, she murmurs, and something inside me catches at the genuine warmth in her voice. Outside, Keeldrick falls into step beside me, hands tucked casually into his pockets, his smug grin firmly in place. Your people, really? I snap under my breath the moment we're out of earshot. What happened to Subtle? He throws me a sideways look, completely unrepentant. Subtle isn't working, Dre. You're running out of time to tell her the truth, and every day you wait makes the eventual revelation worse. And what if she can never handle it? Keeldrick's voice gentles, losing the teasing edge. What if there's never a right time to tell her you're a dragon king? What if waiting is the thing that destroys the trust you're working so hard to build? His words hit harder than I want to admit. I'll tell her soon, I promise. Good. He claps my shoulder. Because that woman deserves to know what she's choosing before she chooses it. And you deserve a mate who loves all of you, not just the parts you think are safe to show. That's not your decision to make. No, he agrees. But it's my job to protect you from yourself, including from your own well-intentioned lies. I've read the histories, brother. I know what happens when kings hide their identity from their mates. The longer you wait, the deeper the betrayal feels when the truth comes out. I stop walking, turning to face him fully. She's been hurt enough, lied to enough, controlled enough. I won't add to that burden until I'm certain she can handle it. We walk in silence for several minutes, the ocean wind carrying the salt-sharp smell of low tide. Keeldrick's early humour has completely evaporated, replaced by something I rarely see from him, genuine, unguarded worry. Say what you're thinking, I finally prompt. I can hear your brooding from here. He stops walking, turning to face me with an expression that's almost pained. What if loving a human dooms us? The words hit like a physical blow. What? Hear me out. He runs a hand through his dark hair, agitated. The promise of the flame has been failing for generations, right? Each generation the vision gets weaker and each bond produces fewer viable children. What if mating with a person without their own magic dooms us? Sarah is my mate, I growl, the dragon rising instantly to her defense. The vision confirmed it. A partial vision, eyes only, not exactly the detailed roadmap your great-great-grandfather got. Kaeldrick holds up his hand in a placating gesture. I'm not saying she's not your mate, Dre. I'm saying, what if the reason the visions have been failing is because our bloodline has been trying to push us away from non-dragon mates? What if we're supposed to bond with other dragons, keep the power pure and concentrated? That's not how it works, you know that. Few of us have bonded with humans, some with cat shifters, even a few wolves way in the past. But doubt creeps in anyway, insidious and cold. The promise doesn't care about species. It cares about compatible souls, about the balance of energies. Does it? Or is that just what we tell ourselves because we're desperate? He's fully committed to this argument now, voice raising with intensity. Think about it. Queen Alara was half dragon, half human. Her daughter lived 3 minutes. The king before that bonded with a half dragon, half cat shifter. From the eastern clans, their son lived 6 months. Every generation we dilute the bloodline further, and every generation we lose more children. So your solution is what? That I abandon my mate because she's human? Doom myself to a loveless political marriage that might produce equally doomed offspring? The anger is now rising, hot and dangerous. Or should I just die alone and let the kingdom fall into chaos when the wolves inevitably push into our territory? I don't have a solution. Eldrick's frustration matches my own. I'm just saying, what if falling for her, bonding with her, is the thing that finally breaks us? What if you're so focused on this one woman that you miss the actual answer? What if the promise is trying to tell you something different and you're too obsessed to hear it? The accusation stings because part of me has wondered the same thing. What if my certainty about Sarah is just desperation dressed up as destiny? What if I'm clinging to a partial vision because the alternative, that there is no mate, no salvation, no hope, is too terrible to accept? She makes me feel alive, I say quietly. For the first time in years, when she looked at me, I felt something other than crushing responsibility and fear. The dragon recognized her instantly, Kael. That's not an obsession, that's instinct. She is the answer. Instinct can be wrong. Dragons have been wrong before. But his voice has softened, the anger draining into weary concern. I don't want to watch you pour everything into this bond, only to lose her and the kingdom both. Because if this fails, if she rejects you or the bond doesn't take, or she can't handle what you are, you won't recover, and neither will our people. The weight of it settles on my shoulders, heavier than any crown. He's right, the risk is enormous. But the alternative, turning away from her, ignoring the pull of the mate bond, trying to manufacture a connection with someone else, feels like a slow death. I need to know more about her, I say finally, about who she's running from, why she's so terrified. If someone is hunting her, she's in danger. I need to eliminate that threat before I can even think about revealing what I am. Agreed. Relief colours Kaeldrick's voice. He'd been expecting a fight, not capitulation. So what's the plan? I watched the sun descend towards the horizon. painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold, dragon colours, fire colours. Omen or warning, I can't tell. We investigate, I say, carefully, quietly. You and Zev, use your contacts and find out who Sarah really is, and who's chasing her. That night, I summon Zev to my temporary study in the palace. He arrives within minutes, moving with that liquid grace that makes him one of our most effective intelligence operatives. Where Kaeldrick is fire and passion barely restrained, Zev is ice and precision, the perfect counterbalance. Your Majesty. He inclines his head, dark eyes already sharp with curiosity. Kaeldrick said you needed something with particular discretion. I need information on someone, a human woman, living in Wavecrest under the name Sarah, works at the beachside cafe. I slide a hastily sketched description across the desk, physical details, the few facts I've managed to gather. I need to know her real name, where she comes from, and who might be looking for her. Zev picks up the paper and scans it with professional efficiency. May I ask why? She's important. The words are inadequate, but I'm not ready to admit the full truth, that this human woman might be the key to my kingdom's survival, or its final doom. Someone is hunting her. I need to know who, and why, before they make another move. Understood. He folds the paper carefully. I'll start with recent missing persons reports, cross-reference with communities known for isolationist practices. The name Sarah is common enough to be deliberate choice, probably close to her real name, but generic. If she's running, she's likely running from somewhere with limited law enforcement oversight. How long? Depends on how well she's covered her tracks. Could be days, could be weeks. He pauses. But Dre, if she's hiding this deep, there's a reason. Digging into her past might expose her to the very people she's fleeing from. Then we'll be ready when they come. The promise is absolute, carved in stone and fire. No one touches her. Zev's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his dark eyes, understanding maybe, or concern. I'll be discreet. I know you will. Report directly to me, no one else, and Zev, I wait until he meets my eyes. If you find evidence of an ongoing threat or immediate danger, you tell me instantly. I don't care what time of day, what meeting I'm in, I need to know. Understood. He moves towards the door, then pauses. Sir, is she worth the risk? Worth potentially exposing our presence here? Worth diverting resources when the wolves are pressing our borders? It's a fair question. A king should weigh such things carefully, balance personal desires against kingdom needs. Yes, I say simply. She's worth everything. After he leaves, I stand at the window, looking out towards the town below. Somewhere down there, Sarah is finishing her shift, locking up her tiny room, checking the locks, because she knows something is hunting her. She just doesn't know yet that something far more dangerous is hunting the hunters. The dragon stirs, satisfied with this plan. Protect, defend, eliminate threats. Soon, I promise him, and myself, and the mate who doesn't know she's mine yet. Soon, we'll know what we're facing, and then we'll end it. Because one way or another, Sarah will be safe. And if Kaeldrick is right, if loving her dooms the kingdom, then I'll face that doom with my eyes open. Some things are worth the risk. Some people are worth the world. And that was chapter 7. This chapter is a pressure cooker. Desire, destiny, fear, ancient history, and modern danger all tightening around Draven at once. And Kaeldrick, bless him, is doing his absolute best to be the voice of reason while also poking every single one of Draven's nerves. Let's take a look at the language. 5 words taken directly from this chapter, all of them useful, all of them worth adding to your English vocabulary. 1. Inferno. Draven describes the mate bond heat as an inferno that's both hers and mine. An inferno is a massive, intense fire, usually uncontrollable and destructive. The warehouse was consumed by an inferno. His anger rose like an inferno inside him. Writers often use it metaphorically to describe overwhelming emotion. Here it captures the scale of Draven's desire and the ancient magic behind it. This isn't a spark, it's a wildfire. 2. Fragments. When Draven explains the failing visions, he says his great-grandfather received only fragments. Fragments are small, broken pieces of something that used to be whole. The vase shattered into fragments. She remembered only fragments of the dream. In this chapter, the word carries generational weight, the literal breaking apart of destiny. 3. Sustain. Eldrick recalls his grandmother's description of the mate bond, 2 flames that together can sustain a whole kingdom. To sustain means to support, nourish, to keep something going over time. The crops could not sustain the village. Her encouragement sustained him through the hardest months. It's a beautiful contrast. Dragons who once burned too hot now survive because of balance, not power. 4. Revelation. Eldrick warns Draven that delaying the truth will make the eventual revelation worse. Revelation is a surprising or previously unknown fact that becomes known, often suddenly. The revelation shocked the entire team. Her expression changed at the revelation of the truth. In this chapter, it refers to the moment Sarah discovers Draven's real identity, a moment loaded with fear, hope, and risk. 5. Betrayal. Eldrick says the longer you wait, the deeper the betrayal feels when the truth comes out. Betrayal means breaking someone's trust, especially through deception or secrecy. He felt a deep betrayal when his friend lied. The betrayal hurt more than the mistake. For Seraphine, who has lived under manipulation and control, this word is a landmine. Draven knows it, Eldrick knows it, and you, the reader, feel it. The phrase I want to focus on this week comes from Eldrick, who tells Draven, "You're running out of time to tell her the truth." Running out of time means you're approaching a deadline, literal or emotional, and the window to act is closing. We're running out of time to finish the project. She felt she was running out of time to fix things. This chapter, it's not about schedules, it's about trust. Every day Draven waits to reveal who he is, the risk grows. Not because he's doing something wrong, but because Seraphine has been lied to her entire life. Even kindness can feel like betrayal if the truth arrives too late. Here's your question for this week. Eldrick asks Draven a brutal, honest question. What if loving a human dooms us? And Draven answers with something even more honest. She makes me feel alive. So here's what I want you to think about. When does love become courage? And when does it become risk? And can something be worth the risk, even if the outcome is uncertain? Draven believes Sarah is worth everything. Keldric believes the kingdom might not survive the choice, and Sarah doesn't even know the choice exists yet. Tell me what you think in the comments. I read every single one. That's chapter 7. Draven has a plan now, a real one. He has Keldric's reluctant support, Zev's precision, and a mission that is no longer just instinct, but strategy. And underneath all of that, he has something far more dangerous: hope. Next week, we step into chapter 8, and I'll tell you this: Seraphine's world tilts again. Hard. She loses her job, not because she failed, not because she did anything wrong, but because the hunters have finally pushed things too far. And for the first time, she stops pretending. She tells Mr. Harrington the truth, or at least the part she can bear to say aloud. She calls it subterfuge, a word that tastes like smoke and survival. Then she goes to the beach, and Draven finds her there. He asks her to dinner, and she says yes. But this time, she wonders what that yes really means. Is it salvation? Or is it another kind of cage? Because Seraphine has been trapped before, and the terrifying thing about hope is that it can feel exactly like danger when you've lived too long without it. Subscribe so you don't miss out. And if you can't wait, the book link is in the description. I completely understand. Take care of yourselves.